Hi there. This is the first video of what will probably be a multi-part series that I'm going to be recording, detailing the steps of a commission that I'm currently working on for a client who worked on an indie mascot horror game. I'm not going to say which game it is, just to keep that a secret and for people to guess, but it's one that's relatively known. And they've asked me to make a full suit of one of their main characters. So it's going to be a actual full mascot suit. The first part I'm going to talk about is the hand. So this one is a test piece. This isn't the final version. This was the first one I printed as a proof of concept, hoping that it would be correct for it to be the final version, but there are some issues with it that I'm going to go through how I'm fixing in this video. I won't be showing the final project of the glove or the hand in this video, but I will go through it later once it's finished printing. So as you can see, it's quite a large, well, mascot hand, and it is completely hollow inside, so I can fit my whole hand in there, and my ring and middle finger are in the middle finger, as that is generally what's most comfortable for this sort of three-fingered hand. And the most important part is that it has the ability to flex. One of the main problems with this one is that it's a bit too stiff. It's kind of hit the same problem I had when I was dealing with the ears that I talked about in the 10th anniversary Five Nights at Freddy's video, where I've made the density a bit too high, and as such it's a lot stiffer than it should be. So I can only move the thumb like this. I can't really bend the fingers, and it's also got too much open space on the inside, so my fingers are moving around too much for me to be able to actually bend the fingers themselves. So starting off with the first thing I did is I scanned my own hand using my 3D scanner from 3D Maker Pro, and as you can see here, that's the scanning data, and then I used that scanning data to create a model in their software. And it's not perfect because it was a very quick scan, but it works perfectly fine for this application. I only need it to be rough. Now here I've got the hand model imported into Blender along with the model for the mascot hand, and I'm just positioning it correctly to where I want it, and then thinning it down a bit to get it a bit closer to the thickness of my hand. Now in this section I am dealing with the insides of the hand to try and stretch them and compress them into a way that will be comfortable and a nice snug fit for the fingers themselves. So as you can see here, I'm working on the pinky finger at the moment, which was a bit too big and obviously too wide inside, but also quite long. So in a second here you'll see that I select the whole of the pinky finger, and I then make that a lot smaller and readjust it to be able to look visually correct, as you're seeing now. Now after that I went into the sculpt mode of Blender, and I just went through and sculpted some of the fingers and some of the hand a bit more, mainly using the smoothing tool, which would just compress them in a little bit just so that I could get a better proportion for what my fingers should be. And here using the grab tool to make more large adjustments to the length of one of the fingers, but I made it slightly too long, so fix that. So to get this effect of just the infill, all you really have to do is remove all of the top layers and bottom layers, as well as all of the walls, which I'm doing here. And my personal preference, and the preference for most people, is to use the gyroid infill pattern. I'm setting it to 10% here. The original test glove that I made was with 15%, and I know from the Vanny ears that 10% is a decently soft middle ground. And this is printed in TPU, so you do usually print TPU relatively slow. I know that my printer can handle a slightly faster speed for TPU. The supports I'm using are tree supports, because I find that they are the easiest to release from the model. For my case, the best orientation for this glove is vertical, because I don't want any supports inside the glove, as TPU is very good at sticking to itself, so I have a lot of trouble with removing supports. And this allows, the main issue for this section is the thumb, but there should be enough of a bridge and enough of an angle that the thumb should print out just fine. This part is going to have a lining on the inside anyway, so there won't be any rough spots of material in there. Now, after Kira has finished making the file with those settings, this is what the part looks like. As you can see, it looks quite odd because it is just infill. There is no walls or anything, and of course there's supports as well. So when I show only a brief section, you can see a lot better what that looks like. And here I'm just looking at the overhang on that thumb to see whether I think that it will actually print correctly and will be able to bridge that gap nicely. Now I've uploaded it to my 3D printers, and my printers run on a version of Clipper that is on the Reality Sonic pad. And so this is the web interface for that. It's connected up to my router so I can access it from my PC. And I'm at the moment just taking the file and looking at it in the G-code preview so that I can check that it's all gone through correctly and that there's nothing obviously horribly wrong. So as you can see on the G-code preview there, when I move the layers, I can see each individual layer showing up nicely. There's no errors visibly with the file, and I'm fairly happy with how it looks, so I am pretty confident with going ahead and hitting print. And that is going to be where I'm going to leave this video for today. I have the file, the new file for the hand printing currently, and once that is finished, I will likely show that off in the next video that I record for this series. But before I end off, I thought I would just show a little preview, more of a preview than the hand at least, just to give a bit more of a hint as to seeing if anyone can guess the series or the game that I am making a mascot costume for. And I have been told that I can show work in progress shots, and I highly doubt that anyone will guess it just from this, but this is a brief portion of the head. The head is in about 8 pieces, so it's quite large, but this was the first part that finished printing earlier today, and you could probably see on the camera of my web interface for my Sonic pad. And once that is all more together, it'll probably be a lot more obvious what character I am building, for those at least that know quite a few different mascot horror games at least. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave this video for today. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that people that like 3D printing and that didn't know about this technique of making TPU 3D prints that act similarly to foam in how they can bend. I hope that interested people, and if you have any projects that you're thinking it might be useful for this style of printing, then leave them in the comments, or tell me on Instagram or on Twitter, All of my links are in my bio on my channel page. And yeah, if you want to keep updated on this project, then please subscribe and follow me on my social medias. I'll be posting various photo updates on there while I'm in the middle of recording videos.